2 days later, the spark that I'd lit a year ago turned into an inferno. When I moved to Sacramento, I moved there from the Bay Area, where queer people are just in the water. You go to the grocery store and you get to appreciate the cute queer person ahead of you in line, and you go get your mail and like there's somebody else there. And you know, my dating scene wasn't like thriving, but it was happening. And when I moved to Sacramento, it felt like that moment in like a Western film where the entire town is empty and you hear that woo woo sound. I was like, could feel the like tumbleweeds rolling around, and I was looking, I was like, where are the queer people? I'm like, they at least have to exist, even if they don't talk to me. And I realized that I'd reached a pretty deep level of desperate when from a block away in the like minuscule neighborhood that Sacramento has, I saw a queer person that I might want to talk to, and I debated if I chased them down to say, hi, I'm Toby, I'm gay, I think you are too. Can we talk? I need to find where all the other queer people are. And so I knew I had to depict some new strategies. And there was eventually, I like waited it out long enough to find queer events that were happening. And there was this queer open mic at a cafe in Midtown. Never been to it, but you know, I'm willing to go new places. And I can go places by myself. And so I went and I sat in the audience and just cruised the audience. And I was like, okay, they came from somewhere, that's good. They're here. There was somebody else there that I was really excited about. I looked over and I was like, damn, they look good in those like white chinos and button-up shirt. I mean, white chinos are a bold choice for anybody. But they were pulling it off. And I was like, wow. And so I was sitting there admiring them, and I was like, yeah, they're here with their girlfriend, right. So I waited for a moment when the girlfriend stepped away and the coast was clear. And I walked up and said, hi, I just wanted to let you know that I really like what you got going on here. Really attractive to me. Enjoy the rest of the show. And I walked away from them before they could say anything. And I walked out the door. My goal was that it was a gift and that there was no obligation to say anything nice back to me. I just wanted to appreciate what was happening there. And the dating scene didn't really improve for me, but it did get a little bit better. Sacramento's been growing up a little bit. It is better now. And I was at another queer event, thrilled that there was a monthly queer event, and got there and was hanging out with some folks I knew at that point, and across the room I see the person in the chinos and with their girlfriend. And I'm like, well, I can go up and say hi. And I was just chatting with some folks, and I was like, eventually I'll get over there and say hi, but like no need to like bust out of this conversation to get to that one. And I finished my conversation and they come up to me and they're like, what, not gonna say hi? And I was like, just hadn't gotten there yet. You were on my list. And that evening, boy howdy, did they flirt with me. Their flirting was so fun and intense. And at some point, their girlfriend went out for a smoke, and they sidled up to me on the bench so much that I was like, are you trying to sit on my lap? And they're like, can I? And I was like, no. You have some business to finish. If you would like this to go any farther, you need to clean your house. Your girlfriend doesn't know that you want this, and you need to make sure that it's at least above board. Or you need to actually call what you know is true and call it done. And I'd love to hear from you when you clean your house. And that can be 2 days later, that can be 2 months from now, 2 years. Would love to hear from you. And I went home. And 2 days later, I had a text being like, I took care of my shit. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And we did. It was fun, and it was hot, and it was sexy. And it was so, I already said fun, but it was really fun. And it was intense. Like, they started staying at my house a bunch. They were just drenching me in like compliments, and it was so fun. And they were something that I was aspiring to be. I was like, and trying to be an advocate, and here they are, a political activist that hangs banners and creates chaos and like gets policies changed. And I was like, oh, so good. And all of those things started good, but then I was like, wait, you're in my bed a whole bunch. Why aren't you at your house sometimes? And when I go to the gym at 7 o'clock and you love that I come home hot and sweaty, why do you then put on your clothes and leave? Couldn't we at least have coffee? And when you compliment me, there's this way that it's just a little too much. And it kind of felt like trauma fawning, that response to get me to stay. And the thing is when you date a really brilliant political activist, you also know that strategy is also close to manipulation. And they can charm the pants off people. My pants were off. And I knew that they were far more clever than me in this realm, and that I had something that I needed to pay attention to, because I was not going to out-clever them. So this continued on, and I went to a political action with them. And on our way back, we had a conversation that was waiting to be had. We had an important difference. They were morally vegan, and I am generally an omnivore. And I am okay with them being a vegan, but that piece of difference really came to a head on that car ride. And what they were sending towards me wasn't nice. And I have never, ever been in an argument with somebody and contemplated the joy of pulling over on the side of the road and telling them to get out and leave them with that consequence. I have never thought to treat somebody that way, but the vitriol that was coming in that conversation was absolutely unacceptable. And I did decide to drive them home. And for the next 40 miles, I prepared myself for what needed to come next. And when I dropped them off at their house, I poured water on this and said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Be well. And I didn't talk to them. And on that drive home from their apartment to mine, I realized that I had reached a place where I could play with fire but not get burned.
You guys, Toby is a walking green flag. If you know any queer people in Sacramento, meet them, Toby. Okay, so we have 3 people who've put their name in the hat, and I'm going to call one of them up, and we'll see what happens. Carol. Come on up, Carol.
Thanks, Amber. Let's hear it for Amber, a fantastic MC. Really top-notch. She is. This is a great room. I really appreciate being back here. I'm going to tell a story about a mob guy. I have to tell you. I don't know if similarities, but we'll see. So I'm from Philadelphia, and I went to New York for a big convention, and I meet a cool guy, and I'm dating a guy in Philadelphia, but I go, oh my gosh, this guy's so cool, and he's like 10 years older, and I think, wow, I'm in my 20s, I've never dated anybody, sophisticated, let's say, and so I go, so we have a brief affair, and we're in New York, however, he lives in California. I didn't plan ahead. So I realized after the brief affair, oh my gosh, if I'm going to continue this, because I didn't do my research, I've got to come out to California. So the story goes that I break up with guy number 1 and go out to visit guy number 2, who's the California guy. And so I'm in California and I land in Marin. I don't realize, because I'm in my 20s, I'm young and naive, I have to tell you, and I don't really recognize mobsters, however, I gotta tell you. So I have this flashback, because when I grew up, I'm Irish Italian, my dad, kind of was purported mob, how do you say that word? So I realize, and he's Italian, and so I'm in Marin, and we're going to Italian restaurants, and I'm starting to feel like, oh, well, I feel really comfortable here because I'm Italian, and it's great food and everything, but maybe there's an undercurrent, again, another one, that I'm not getting. So I'm there, and we're going out to food and all, and he's a mob wine guy and the whole thing, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, he can't be a mob guy, but he's like gambler, and he's all these other attributes that I didn't put together, that my mom, I'm young, I still don't get that my dad was like a mobster. So I'm going around with this guy, and we go to Mexico. We fly down there in this private plane with this air pilot guy from Marin, and it's shaky, as you can only imagine. We're there, and I don't know, it's not a mobster like his, but that's Chip. But we're there, and we get stopped at the border, and they're carrying, I don't want to say the cargo, but I'm literally told by my boyfriend at the time to go run, Carol. I'm running for the border out of our car to get by, and I get by because I was a sprinter, and thank God I was still a sprinter. And I get there, and I think, oh my God, what am I doing? I mean, who is this guy? And how serious is this situation? Because are they moving drugs? So at the time, I'm in pharma. So literally, I'm in pharmaceuticals, selling, rep for pharmaceuticals. And I realize I have a whole storage cabinet in my little condo apartment thingy, because I'm on my own. And I realize he has a key. And in my storage cabinet, the company sold Quaaludes. Back in the day, you've got major hallucinogenic. Parapectilin, which is an antidiarrheal, Sudafed, which was the precursor to meth. This is in my storage cabinet, right? So in Marin, and I'm thinking, I don't know at the time, but I get the sense that it's serious drugs, of course, because I'm, pushing them, legally. And out of my car that they gave me, that's a red and white car that I told them almost like a Superfly car. I'm like, I don't want a red and white car in Marin selling pharmaceuticals as this, I don't know. So anyway, so we're going along, and I realized this guy that I dated, the mobster, who I broke up with, has a key to my storage cabinet. Storage things are missing, and I'm like, oh my God, do I have to put this together that, things are, pharmaceutical products are missing from my storage. So long story short, I meet a guy in New York. I'm from Philadelphia. I come out to California, end up staying. This is many years ago. He actually has access. I break up with him. I end up going to realize years later, oh my God, Amy, my dad had worked at a grocery store, and they were gambling. They were doing numbers, the old numbers racket, and all this. And I ended up with a guy that's very much like my dad, but I never really knew it till many years later. Thank you.
And his name was Gary Rossi. I am going to ask a very special lady to come on stage now and share a story, but there is a warning. This story involves the words cock and pussy. So, if this might offend you, now would be a good time to leave. Please give it up for the very brave Amy B.